When asked about the possibility of him going on loan to Chelsea, I read about fantasy exchanges with Victor as if he was a package to be delivered quickly. This package is the top scorer of the third Scudetto in the history of Napoli. Respect and stop fake news. Oh, yes. Let's welcome in back to us. Frank Leboeuf is with us, Mark Ogden as well. Osimhen, Mark, it all seems to have gone a bit quiet.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a complex one, because he's got 2 years left in his contract at Napoli. The owner wants £110 million, I think it's his release clause, so nobody can afford that. PSG have gone quiet. But obviously Napoli want to replace Osimhen when he goes, and they fancy Romelu Lukaku, who's still at Chelsea despite playing for virtually every club in Serie A for the last 2 or 3 years. So the way that this deal can get done is if Lukaku goes to Napoli, then Osimhen would go to Chelsea on loan with a view to a permanent deal. So, that would help Chelsea as well, because it means that Chelsea would have to spend a lot of money on a striker, which, Chelsea always seem to find the money, but at some point, people are going to ask the questions, where does it come from? How do you keep spending this money? So it does make sense. Obviously, Osimhen's agent is suggesting it's not going to happen, but I do think that in terms of the logic of this deal, it makes a lot of sense. Chelsea, for all they've spent over the last 2 years, they haven't really signed a striker. So Osimhen would work for Chelsea. Apparently, Osimhen's keen to play in the Premier League. PSG have dropped out, and Chelsea can get rid of Lukaku in terms of getting him off the wage bill and get a fee for him. So it does make sense for all parties. Maybe not Osimhen's agent, but I'm sure he could be swayed otherwise.
Frank, do you agree that this could actually make sense to both parties?
I would say so, yes. I mean, Chelsea desperately tries to get rid of Lukaku, and I think if they can find a club to sign him, that would be perfect. And having Osimhen from Napoli and the talent that he has in the front of the Chelsea attack, that would be amazing, because I never thought that there would be a possibility, an option, because Chelsea doesn't play the Champions League, and I never thought that Victor Osimhen would be willing to come. If he wants to come on loan, that would be fantastic for the club. I think Chelsea needs a striker. Osimhen wants to play in the Premier League. That would be a great opportunity for the club and a good challenge for the player. And we can say good luck to Lukaku in Italy forever.
One point, Mark, you said PSG have dropped out. Why?
No, they haven't dropped out. They've gone quiet. I just think that they don't want to spend what Napoli want. I mean, £110 million is a massive fee for a player who's a good player, but nobody's got any money. Nobody's got that kind of money in the transfer market. So I guess that PSG are kind of hoping that they can bring the price down. But, if Chelsea are an option, and Chelsea are an option that makes sense for Napoli because of Lukaku, then PSG are going to find it difficult. So PSG is still there, but the money's too big. The current market, nobody's going to pay that much money for a player.
I can't get my head around this. So Osimhen signs a new deal to be nice to the club, and then he's going to go on loan to Chelsea. It doesn't make a lot of sense from Osimhen's point of view. I mean, you know what football's like? Things change very quickly. You go there on loan, and all of a sudden you either get injured or you have a bad time, and your whole world's turned upside down. I was shocked when I heard that this could be a loan. I guess it makes sense for both clubs if the money's right, but from his point of view, I don't think I would be particularly keen to go anywhere on loan if I'm Osimhen. The guy's a proper player.
This story, you feel, is something that's going to rumble on for a while. Meanwhile, a story that we talked about a few weeks ago and then went very quiet, I felt, Mark, was the possibility of Jarrad Branthwaite going from Everton to Manchester United. Of course, United have looked at other defenders and brought in Euro as well. But you have a feeling that this deal could be back on?
Yeah, so Everton have signed Jake O'Brien today from Lyon for about £17 million. Now, for people who don't know about O'Brien, he's Republic of Ireland internationally, 6'6", centre-half. Now, Jarrad Branthwaite is 6'5", centre-half. So obviously, Everton seem to be replacing Branthwaite before he goes out the door. Now, you're right, United have looked at Matthijs de Ligt, and that there is still an interest in Matthijs de Ligt, but if it comes down to de Ligt or Branthwaite, now Branthwaite makes more sense because he's younger, it'd be cheaper, I guess, in terms of wages. He's English, and that always matters to a Premier League club. But also, you've got to factor in that Everton, despite the fact they're saying he's not going anywhere, he's got a year left in his contract. And there's no way that Everton are going to allow themselves to have a player who cost £1 million from Carlisle 3 or 4 years ago to leave for nothing in a year's time. So Everton, as we know, have got issues right now financially with the stadium and the debt, the takeover situation. Now that Everton have brought a centre-half in that can play the same position as Jarrad Branthwaite, and he actually looks like Jarrad Branthwaite, it suggests to me that Jarrad Branthwaite may be available sooner rather than later, because Everton really have to bring some money in. And United, their bid is, they've had 2 bids rejected, but the bid is still on the table. And if it comes down to choice between De Ligt or Jarrad Branthwaite, I'd imagine United will go for Branthwaite. So I think it's definitely watched this space because of the situation that Everton are now in, that they've brought a replacement in, they need some money in, and he's the obvious player that they can offload. And obviously, Calvert-Lewin is another player that may go as well, but Everton won't be restricted to selling this one player this summer.